Premier Danielle Smith and Prime Minister Mark Carney had a big pipeline press conference. And, I don't even drink, but I'm going to guzzle this bottle of alcohol. I don't drink at all, but I'm going to start drinking because what I saw yesterday, well, again, is Danielle Smith a genius for Alberta independence? Is she playing 4D chess? Because yesterday I was 100% for separating from Canada and moving on to an independent Alberta. However, today somehow I'm 120% and I'm more motivated than ever. And guys, if you don't mind, I'm not supposed to get too upset because apparently my surgeon says that's not a good idea. And I've got a little meditation gong. So I'm going to use this if I get too upset about things. In fact, I'm so upset I don't want to even find and get clips of the press conference between Homegirl Smith and Carney. And I'm going to just, let me do this. Let's talk about the meta. Let's talk about the big picture that goes on. Mistake number one. No, hold on. We're going to go even further back. This is one of the problems with being in Canada, is that everything has to have some stupid political BS. Just look at the names of these. There's an MOU. Oh, we're looking to sign an MOU. Everything's got to have some fruity little name that you don't know what it is. It's like NGO. The vast majority doesn't know what that even means. They signed an MOU agreement. Well, that's great for a pipeline. Well, I guess that's been solved. And then you find out, the acronym always means sort of a nothingness, but also stuff that can be played with and gamed around and mean nothing and everything. I guess what they do now is they have memorandums. Get this, it's a memorandum of understanding. I feel like a lot of countries, and particularly in the past, and if I look at President Trump down in the United States, they just say what it is, and what it is or isn't, and then they do. And this gets to another meta thing too, which is this gets to another thing I have about boomers were the ones. Boomer Marxists back in the day, 50 years ago, that figured out how to weaponize oil pipelines. They found out that pipelines something about an oil pipeline makes people feel really, really upset, and they can weaponize these into crossing native. Boy, they sure figured out how to do that fast. How a pipeline is going through some native lands, and then the natives have to have, and as well too, actually down in the States, my friends would always say this is, they also have the, like the spotted frog or the rarest horny owl, where they use like an endangered animal as well to stop pipelines. Because pipelines are, energy itself is what will bring down the cost of living for everybody. Energy is everything. And so if you're an anti-capitalist and you want to take advantage of things, this has gone too far. This has to stop. And this is why Alberta needs to leave. Because, in many countries around the world, like, do you think in China they have a 6-month-long political, social activist carrying on about who's and this and what province is going to discuss this pipeline? We'll all talk about the oil pipeline and make this into the greatest political concept of the world. You just do it. And if Alberta separated from Canada, you wouldn't have to do all of this. You wouldn't have 6-month-long discussions and a week-long news cycle about the pipeline. What's the name of the pipeline? And what native groups are This thing is all BS, by the way. So, okay. So anyway, the Premier of Alberta, we're going to take it down a bit. We're still kind of in the meta. I think so by the way, there's one thing I can agree with Premier Smith about, is we'd like to get to the days when discussing an oil pipeline was boring. And nobody needed to have, it would maybe appear in the news, it's a good thing, but it would just be some business that is boring and nobody cares about, and they would just do it. We'd like to get back to that, not have the oil pipeline. Guys, so the other thing that was really disappointing was making a performative show about it with the... Somebody compared her to Neville Chamberlain. The worst look you could have is, they introduced this press conference. Mark Carney, and everybody's applauding, and Premier Smith is Mark Carney, everybody. Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, as if this is some kind of an honor, and they can't wait to sit together and smile and hold up the great... You think it was a peace signature over World War II. It's an oil pipeline. But anyway, signing this thing and congratulate, and she's wearing Team Canada elbows up red, and everybody, and I think that was one of the worst things I ever saw. She would have been better off to have announced that the Canadian federal government has signed off on it, and she could have done a signing too, alone, not with any federal, especially not the Prime Minister. So, okay, guys, now let's be more specific. But aren't you saying that Alberta got some things that it was looking for, and they got, no, Alberta got humiliated again. God bless Ezra Levant was one of the first people to ask a question. Hey, with these agreements, if I got this straight, next April Fool's Day, Alberta starts paying a carbon tax. I'm supposed to breathe. Is it true that you just agreed that Alberta will pay Canada carbon taxes starting on April Fool's Day? The next one, and but the pipeline is a promise for 15 years later, for 2040. To which she has the auto reply, yes, and sometimes you can't get everything you want. Well, actually, you can get everything you want, because if Alberta separated from Canada, this pipeline, first of all, there'd be no such thing as a carbon tax, which is a bizarre, weird idea that doesn't even... And second of all, no, actually, we would get what we want. In fact, by 2040, Alberta would have made deals and built and running not only this pipeline, but at least 2 others. It would do 3, I dare say 4. Alberta would have 4 pipelines running. And as a matter of fact, we could also still get what we want by running a pipeline down into the United States and across to, let's say, Washington State to the water, and doing it that way. But for some reason, we're playing a stupid humiliation game. Okay, now I gotta really... It's phony. As the signing an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, probably has the word good faith in it. It turns out this pipeline isn't even a real... Okay, now, Canadian people will again know this is all a bunch of politicals. It's a bunch of BS, because it would have to go through British Columbia, which is a... And by the way, people that keep saying BC and Alberta should get together and separate, no, they should not. do not allow that province anywhere near anything, because they are mentally wacko over there. They're schizophrenic, and they are deep into a anti-Christian pagan climate cult religion with a bunch of weird noble savage nonsense and people dressing up and pretendians and blocking pipelines like it's a boomer thing to do. And that pipeline is, forget it. Okay, just forget that. As fact, BC all they can do is get reelected the more that they stop a pipeline from coming through. So this was all a big fraud. It humiliated Alberta again. I'm sure as soon as Carney went back to Ottawa, he had a big laugh at, you give those goofy rednecks clinging to their God and guns, and you just promise them an understanding of a pipeline that is possible. And, we made those shitheads happy, and now they'll pay us, they'll pay their tax. And by the way, he's probably telling me, on April Fool's no less, brr, brr, brr. And boy, the Laurentians have to be cheering today. So, hey, here's my question for you. Is Danielle Smith a genius playing 4D chess who knew all along that this will spur the Alberta independence movement like nothing else? And in fact, when a referendum is called, what she has just done is going to add a good 10% more to the separate from Canada and become an independent Alberta. And in fact, by the way, for advertisements for the Alberta Independence Campaign, just use that press conference. Just that press conference will sell more people to separate from Canada than anything else. Okay, so is that I think she believed. What did they ask her? Someone asked, do you think that this will take some of the wind out of sails, this imaginary win for Alberta? Being allowed to have a pipeline that will never be made? Well, she said, yes, I hope so. And actually that tells me something is I think she still believes that the Alberta independence she believes it's an or else. She does believe that. She believes that it's not what we want, but it's an or else. If we can't get some things for Alberta, we cannot get some, if we're not allowed to be given certain things by Mark Carney and the federal government in Ottawa doesn't allow us to have certain things, why we have that in the back. I don't think she understands that, no, we want Alberta independence, period. I'm not waiting for better deals from Ottawa. The people that are for Alberta independence are not, but I think she does believe that. It's like, well, most everybody in the independence movement, they would prefer to stay in Canada. They're just saying that that's something that they would be forced to do. No, we don't. We do not want to be in Canada. But I do believe that she thinks that actually, yes, this will, and she might even become regarded as the one who got the good deals for Alberta. So I think maybe we don't know what exactly she thinks she's doing. But at this point, I will say, congratulations, Premier Smith. You are helping the Alberta independence movement, whether you know it or not. Calming down, but still have righteous anger to drive myself to volunteer to stop. Guys, that's it for today. I gotta get the. No, I'm okay. But it is enraging. It genuinely is just maddening to see this. But it is also It's also maybe good because if there are still people that think that there's going to be some kind of way that Alberta will demand this and we will get something and then Canada will work out, but you can forget this now. Please do not keep believing this. If you still believe that's going to happen, I don't know what to tell you. I think at this point though, most people are aware that this will just go on perpetually forever till 2040 and our entire lifetimes and those of your children. The only way out of this, the only way that this nonsense stops and this ball and chain is removed and common sense rules again is simply to have Alberta separate from the Confederation of Canada and become an independent state unto itself. And if we want to become a protectorate of the United States, that's another question there. But I will tell you this, that would still eliminate so much BS and so many stupid things that the handbrake that's been put on our lives will be released. And we'll go, whoa, that's what free sailing feels like? So come on, guys, don't free. I'm going to make I'm going to put the inspirational video at the end of this. Hey, calm down. Oh, calm down. So maybe that'll cheer us up at the end. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Western civilization is in decline. And if Alberta wants to be free, it can, if it has the wherewithal, to establish itself as the example of the way Western civilization is supposed to work.
Reverberated off the stone walls of the Alberta Legislature building. Hundreds supporting the separatist movement gathered in...
Do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province in Canada?
This is a safe path, it's a viable path, and it's one that, by every measure, will lead to them, their children, and their grandchildren having a better life and a better future.